Well, hello. Made it back to my home park. Uh, one bar left on the battery. I went a totally different direction. I found some really nice countryside that I have to explore in the future. And then I wound back around and wound up like close to Santa Catarina. And then I turned west and I was stuck on this ridge for a long time and going from village to village. I lost my orientation. I wound up way west, kind of near Salir de Port, overlooking that. Then you'll see in the video I hit this dirt road by this boutique hotel that they're finishing. And I was just saying, come over here, make a boutique hotel and I'll help you when you have to cater a party. So, so this camera, the juice, oops, I was touching the microphone. So this camera, the battery ran out, and I went down this really long dirt road, really, really beautiful place, and finally came out, you know, near the Atelier du Dos, which is that wine and food shop that's a candy maker and cake maker, really famous place. And then I said, geez, I know where I am. It was so weird. And then came back down here. Yeah, it worked out. I definitely found another place to explore, but next time I'm going to go back over here behind me. There's this one area I haven't looked at, and there's a quinta back there. Some big property with a lot of orchards and stuff, vineyards. And I want to ride up around that one. It was a fun ride. I hope you enjoyed the content of the riding video. And I'll put up that carnival video maybe tomorrow or the next day. So thanks again. Yeah, click like if you don't mind and comment. It's good. Hello, my friends. Folk and Flick. Seen any good movies lately? I'm still trying to see the Banshee film, but it's hard to get where I live. Can't get it on Amazon or Apple. I want to see it. Hola, bom dia. ¿Cómo está? So anyway, I wrote a blog post, and it's called "What's Wrong with Jim Rutt?" Well, Jim Rutt, as you probably know, if you have been listening to several of my videos, is a podcaster and an all-around interesting guy who's done a lot of things in technology and entertainment and other stuff. And he lives in he lives in a farm in Virginia. So he farms, you know. He's a geezer like me, and he's got his geezerly charm. And he has a podcast called The Jim Rutt Show. And it's probably my favorite show because he talks to all kinds of people that are interested in things that I'm interested in. A lot of science stuff and you know, how to make a better world through this, that, and the other thing. So it's heady stuff, rarefied. But you know, I'm not all that. I'm not a big shot intellectual, but I find it really interesting. Yeah, Jim Rutt's show is worth looking at, auditing, or however you want to say it. And so the first thing that's wrong with the Jim Rutt show is that, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, not enough people listen to it. And that's primarily because of what it is. You know, it's kind of complex stuff, kind of unusual topics, having to do with currency and blockchain and consciousness and neuroscience and Game B, which is like a new way to organize the world. It's not so competitive and cutthroat and more sustainable and whatnot. And anyway, the people he talks to are interesting. Meta-modernism is a topic that came up recently, and before that it was the sense makers stuff. He talks to Daniel Schmachtenberger, John Vervaeke. He did a good 5-part series with him. Anyway, you may or may not know any of these people, so I won't drop names. If you want to listen to the show, listen to the show. But yeah, so who in Indonesia or Nigeria or South Africa, I looked at some of the stats of the show, and he has listeners from all over the place. Finland, Africa, like South Africa, obviously down under, and New Zealand and Japan and lots of places. He constantly ranks, his show ranks in the top 300 of science podcasts in various parts of the world. Sometimes he's as high ranked as like in the 20s, maybe in the UK or some places. And I don't know how many listeners he has, a lot less than Sam Harris probably, and more than punters like me, obviously. And on his Facebook page, he's got a couple thousand followers on his page. That was for the Game B thing, but he also has his own Game B platform, and I won't go into what that is. You could find out. But my thing is, how do you get more people interested in these topics? He's you know, I mean, it's hard for people who don't have the vocabulary, you know, the fancy consultant speak vocabulary and vocabulary from other domains, who haven't been looking at how the internet runs, how it works from the hardware up, and don't think, oh, look at these beautiful sheep. That's a cute little lamb. How are you? What's up? He's a white cat. Don't be afraid, kids. Oh, they're going for food. Somebody came out to feed them. Or maybe the dog's just calling. Run away. So how do you get more people into these things who haven't read like I have in these various domains of interest, who may not have a lot of time for that kind of stuff? It's almost like, you know, Blinkist and Cleft Notes and so on. If it would be so good if there was a source where it was in plain English that most everyone could understand, just kind of outlined the domains of interest, the topics, subjects, and said, look, this isn't scary. It's not politicized. It's not heavily ideological. They're just really interesting things that he's talking about with these guests who have their own projects, which are all very interesting as well. And check it out. There's just so many interesting ways to look at the world, how it works, what can and can't be done, what the future might look like. So yeah, how do we reach out to people who might look at that and say, oh, it sounds pretentious? You know, to me, I don't get it. and say, no, please, have a look. I'd like somebody to produce something. So in my screenplay, one of the main characters has a channel called It's Simple, and does these short videos introducing topics in plain English. Wow, that's a nicely beautified landscaped garden. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Now that is a nice place. So yeah, it's good to ride around and see that so many people have much nicer houses than I have. I'm so poor. So and I'd love to see somebody produce something like that who was young and smart and familiar with the topics, or at least could organize the research and was a good enough writer to simplify it, and then a good presenter who could this beautiful country here stumbled into, who could hey buddy, you scared me. They never bite, but you know, and they come up on your heel and you're not expecting them. It's startling, the doggies. So yeah, a good young presenter. Somebody's got to do that. And I have a list of topics, shows, and resources you could draw from on cosbalon.eu or globehackers.com. And that'd be cool. So yeah, number one, what's wrong with Jim Rutt? It doesn't hit the normal people enough. In my opinion, we need a couple billion people interested in this shit, really, really interested in it. And then the future's gonna look pretty damn good. So, second thing, a pretty big one for me. Jim mentioned that, you know, the Second Amendment is good because you gotta have guns to keep the government honest. I'm not quoting him. Said something like that. It's the usual trope. Little shortcut. Second Amendment. Well-organized militias and all that. Because, you know, there could be tyranny from the government. The whole narrative is goofy anyway. Because we've set up in the States a pretty, it used to be anyway, it doesn't work anymore, but ingenious system of checks and balances. Federation of states. You know, it's pretty damn amazing. Obviously, it's worked really well for a long time for itself because of a number of factors, geological in particular. But be that as it may, pretty amazing country, pretty successful country, and it has many, many problems. First and foremost has always been greed. And there's a lot of mythologies in the state, narratives, stories that I think are full of shit. And we could drop them and create something new and we'd be better off. But anyway, I won't go into all that. But one of the stories is the myth of, or the fantasy of, the gunfighter. Or maybe it's even a fallacy. It could be fallacious reasoning, but yeah, so I love this restaurant here. I'm not going to go that way. I'm just going to come down this way and try to go up that other hill. Bom dia. Yeah. So, Second Amendment, you know, I got to have my guns just in case. I need to have a militia to go up against the government. Nobody's going up against the government. Nobody can. The government's propaganda arms are too strong. The system, the revolving door, the financialized capitalism, all of it's too strong. It's impenetrable. And once you get in, you're in that system and you can't think your way out of that box. So the government's in, the deep state, whatever you call that, all these institutions. You got, in amazing military technology, you got Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines, you got militarized police, you got the SWAT teams, the Sheriff's Department, the city police, ATF. So throughout history, whenever these militias got together for whatever reason, Waco or whatever, and armed themselves to the teeth to protect themselves from the government, it didn't work very well. They never won. So it took 7 years to kick out the British during the American Revolution. And that was a totally different time and place, was it not? Different weapons and different allegiances, alliances. You had a lot of Indian nations allying with this and that. You had the French and the Spanish and the English, and a complex little bit of business. And it was colonies fighting to kick out the king. So yeah, it's not the same thing as going up against the federal government. Of course, we had that, stop the steal thing in the Capitol. That didn't work out too good either. No matter how much the Proud Boys and the Boogaloos and the this and the that militia wanted to go up and, have stores of weapons. I mean, they never would have been able to do anything except commit murder and mayhem and then all go to prison and be hung or have their heads chopped off or whatever they do. It just doesn't bode well. So my thing is, I don't have a problem with guns. I grew up in Colorado. I hunted elk and dove and duck and geese. I had a .410 shotgun. I had a 12-gauge shotgun, a 10-gauge shotgun, Browning over and under, as it turns out. I had a nice Springfield 30-06 with a 9-power scope for elk hunting. We had some handguns, but they were just more or less for fun. I never thought I was going to be using them to fight bad guys. Although, when you're in the countryside, Colorado, whatever, you have this embedded in your brain from babyhood that the bad guys or the Indians are going to come, you better be ready. But we didn't have loaded guns on the bedside table and stuff like that. If you're going to buy a gun to kill people, get a gun designed, a good assault rifle with all the accoutrements, laser sights and whatever else you need. Big ass clips, body armor, whatever. So you can go kill a lot of people. That's the thing. I mean, if you're in the Army or the Marines or Special Forces, and that's what you got to do. But if you're in the States, man, you want to go hunting duck, go hunting duck. Just do it properly. Get a license and eat the damn thing and use the leather. I mean, I don't like it in France where they grow game animals that they release into the wild during the season, and people go out and try to shoot them. Of course, most of these hunters are not very good hunters and are not doing it for any other reason than to go shoot something. And then the birds that don't get killed, or the game that doesn't get killed, just dies alone in the wild because it doesn't know how to survive in the wild. And I think that's too cruel. I have my limits. I don't know how I feel about Spanish bullfights now, but in the past I've been to them from childhood on, and it is kind of a gruesome thing. It doesn't look very nice to me. In Portugal, they don't stab the animal and bleed the animal and all that. They just make it really, really tired. I'm sure the animal's not having the same kind of fun that the audience is having watching the spectacle, but it doesn't seem as cruel to me. Anyway, I don't like being cruel to animals, and I wish we could figure out better ways to farm and to grow meat and all that kind of thing. But you know, we're going to have 10 billion people on the planet, so unless we start addressing these issues like 20 years ago, we're going to have a hard time figuring it out during all the changes that we have right now. It's another one of my favorite pubs. Cantinho de Lopez. Nice place. The grapes are beautiful here in the summertime. Hello, doggies. So that's a problem. You're not gonna beat and look at all the institutions that are supporting the U.S. military compared to your militia. I don't want to pay taxes. I'm a sovereign man. Okay, good luck with that, dude. I'm gonna move to Mexico, but I gotta move to the right place, otherwise I'll get killed. I'm an IFA, International Financial Advisor, and I have some good expat medical insurance for you. Anyway, there's a central bank. They can print money and throw it at the military. What are they doing now in Ukraine? Got to support Ukraine. The sky's the limit. What do you mean there's no modern monetary theory? Of course there is. And of course America can afford anything it wants, but it doesn't want to do certain things. Wants to burn books because people are paranoid that if I get this benefit, does it mean those people get it too? I don't like that. So I'd rather be poor and stressed and overweight and sick. So anyway, get rid of that fantasy. Now, the other part of this that's really horrific to me, I've never seen this in my life, but now it's big business, and you know, gun safety is a good thing, and understanding how to use firearms properly is really, really important. How to store them, care for them, operate them, and yeah, if you want to take some tactical classes as a 50-year-old lady, overweight lady, go ahead. It might be fun, but when the bad guys come, you're going to lose eventually. You're going to get clipped because there's always a stronger, better organized bunch of thugs. And you're going to be calling the police, calling the army to come and save your ass at the end of the day. So, but now everybody in the States thinks, I gotta know how to operate an assault rifle tactically. I have to. I live in America. Everybody's coming for me. But again, what are the odds? Obviously, much higher than the rest of the world, with the exception of places like Somalia and Libya and whatever, but maybe Colombia, Mexico. What are the odds thugs are coming for you? Very low. So you do the Tversky and Kahneman bit of risk reasoning, and you say to yourself, what a wonderful world. Chances of me getting attacked by a bunch of marauding thugs is very, very low. But if you still want to be prepared because it's entertaining for you, exciting, fine. But just wipe out of your brain that fantasy that you're all that. Because you're not an Army Ranger. I'm going to go play for the NBA. No, I'm not. So yeah, go ahead, buy all the guns you want. Definitely learn how to use them properly. Take all your tactical courses that you want. But I just think it's tragic, man, to have that in your brain, in your children's brain. We live in a country where you have to know how to be a special ops person to survive. Oh boy. The government's so bad, eventually we're going to have to duct tape a whole bunch of militias across the country together, find some allies and support and financing. We're going to have to go up against the federal government, as opposed to, why don't we reform our government, fix it? And the only way you can do that is if like billions of people more watch the Jim Rutt show and figure this shit out. So they're not chasing these ridiculous paranoid narratives and conspiracy theories that are ruining their lives. So, okay, I'll stop there. So the third one is Jim was talking about Twitter and Elon Musk and how are we going to make a better Twitter? Who gives a fuck? I don't care about Elon Musk. The leaders that we have in our world today are all sociopaths. The vast majority of them are. And our system requires that they be sociopaths because of the whole suite of malincentives that exist in our culture. Our profits first culture. Profits more important than people or animals or life on earth or anything. So that's nasty, my friends. And Twitter's not going to fix it, even if it is some kind of public square. So you're in a big city like London. You say, where's the public square? Where's the soapbox? Where's the debate circle? And you trudge all across this town with millions of people in it. You find this little place, and maybe there's at most 20, 40 people there. And you walk up, and this guy's talking about something you don't like climate change. You say, fuck that guy. What an asshole. I don't want to learn anything about climate change. And you walk away with a cloud of disgust behind you until the guy falls out of earshot. And you're stubbornly, willfully committed to not learning anything about anything that you don't like, that isn't comfortable to you. That's what we've got. So all of these platforms are going to be designed for gated communities, little tiny bubbles where everybody thinks the same. And you're going to be in that community because you like it. And then Jim was talking about how nice it is to just follow a few people that you're interested in. I agree with that. But you can do that in hundreds of different ways. And so what? You can do that now. You just don't pay attention to the other assholes. And if there is a rating system, he did talk about some interesting ideas for a rating system with his interviewer, the guy who was interviewing him. But anyway, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Try to work the algorithms or try to reform or fix them or whatever you have to do, you can do. But Twitter isn't all that. People in Liberia don't care that much about Twitter, except some people who want to scam you into like some, prime bank scam or something. And you can go to Getter and you can go to all these other platforms if you want all the freaking loops and feedbacks and amplifiers of your conservative ideology or your libertarian ideology or your neo-Marxist ideology, communism, social democrats, whatever the hell it is that you've decided to get all up in a angry tizzy about. You can find your little gated communities. And primarily that's kind of what the Jim Rutt Show and all the others like it are. It's a gated community of really smart people talking to really smart people, being really smart. And totally inaccessible to the vast majority of human beings on the face of the planet. Which is damn unfortunate. How do you mainstream something smarter, better, more factual, with better data, with people that can understand the data better? This is nice. I like it. Well, people have to be educated, educate themselves. That's a lifelong thing, process, hobby, calling, whatever. And you have to have that seed of curiosity, and you're not afraid of opposing views or novel information that doesn't set with you quite right. A little bit more open-minded, a little bit more flexible, resilient. It's not that hard, like Elon Musk would say. It's not that hard. I promise you I'll have self-flying planes in a couple of weeks. It's not that hard. So, yeah, it's not going to happen in the gated community, my friends. We're all going to have to get there together, or none of us are going to get there at all. Because in my humble, we don't have all day. In the sense that you could say, well, my grandchildren are just going to have a much better world than I had. It's going to be really good for them, and I want them to have that. I want them to be better off and smarter and stronger and taller and wiser and lovelier, and I want them to have all those beautiful things and salvation and whatever. Who doesn't want that for their kids? But we're running out of time. If we don't sort certain things out, it's going to nip us in the bud. Was it a lab leak? Maybe. Are there more dangerous engineered pathogens out there just waiting to leak out of the lab and kill us all? Maybe. But these existential threats don't have to be ignored just because the probability of them happening may be X, Y, or Z. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have a problem with weapons of mass destruction. We know this. It's not controversial. And we know we've got a problem in terms of how we do research on viruses and whatnot. We're just not. And the bottom line problem is the bottom line problem. That's always the profits first mentality that we all have in our culture. Look at this place, folkish. Oh my God. That's bucolic. All those trees, hills rolling, that little village over there. This wall isn't so pretty, but whatever. Yeah, the cloudy day reminds me of Ireland. It takes me back to Clare. Yeah, so we definitely know we have issues, and of course we hate other people because they're not like us. I want to go back to my gated community. I feel safer in my gated community. Please build the wall. Keep them out. I don't think there's any big, huge problem with cosmopolitanism. You can still have your own thing. I mean, you go to town and you say they've got Laotian food. And I know the difference between Sichuan and Hunan food, and various types of Mexican food and various kinds of food. And you're like, I know all about those things. They're all pretty good. Once I learned how to use chopsticks, it's exciting. Another language. Whoa, what fun. People, culture, costumes, dances, music. What the fuck's wrong with that? You can still go back to your community, Little Italy or Little Poland or Little whatever, and do things your way with your people. You don't have to have a proto-B to do it. So we have 1 billion Dunbar number, 150 people each. Communities around networked as a DAO on the blockchain. And somehow that's going to work? Sounds kind of disjointed and unscalable at 10 billion people on the planet. But I will say this. If we don't do anything about our existential risks, there may come a time when there's only like 500 million people left on the planet, and then this whole huge network of proto-B communities, some of them nudist colonies, some of them Quaker-esque, some of them kibbutz-esque, some of them trad this, trad that. Salir de Matos? Huh, what the hell? I'm going to Salir de Matos. Yeah, so, yeah, those days might come. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Kaboom. Mass starvation. Human misery on a scale never before seen in the whole universe. And then, oh, things are simple now. I have to walk 50 miles to run into the next proto-bee where they don't act like us. And you could have Curtis Yarvin's robot there telling them all how to be kingdoms and how to keep their king honest. That'd be awesome. Awesome! Or you can fix what we have, because a lot of it's really, really good. Like my bicycle. I know you are, but what am I? Whoa, nice. Ooh, nice view. God, I'm so envious. I have to make a lot of money. So yeah, I guess I'll stop there. But anyway, you get my drift. My thing is, like, we slow down and try to be responsible. We retool the incentive structures in our systems. And we start to put other things. We start to prioritize other things. The stack. We start to prioritize other things and see how that works for us. And we have to do that community by community through education, through helping each other understand things we're not familiar with, and realizing that these unfamiliar things are really not so bad. And that once we get a little bit used to the Hunan food versus the Sichuan food versus the Thai food versus the Portuguese food, we'll say, wow, they're all kind of good, you know. I found some nice dishes in all of them. I didn't like spicy before, but now I kind of like spicy. Could be sweet. Oh, I've been here before. There's another restaurant over there. Oh my God, it's so good. So very good. I like this part over here on this side. Not as close to the beach, but still quite nice. So we have to help each other learn, and that's why I'm sharing this stuff, because I'm a hapless curator. I'm not a really great communicator and educator and interlocutor, you know, like Jim Rutt. He's way out of my league. I'm like the amateur league. But all of us can pitch in, and we should, because we should learn how to talk to common people. And everyday people. All right, thank you for listening. Bouliam tea out.